Oh,
I
good
mean,
morning. Good morning.
good morning, everyone. How are you?
Oh, so we got Rich on all the way from lovely Canada, other side of the world.
Yeah, literally. No, I'm just kidding.
All
Depends on
right.
which way you go.
Yeah, yeah, right. What is he like? 5 miles north, but 3,500 the other way.
Exactly.
So, good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We hope you guys are all doing well upstairs as well. Make sure you guys are all taking care of yourselves and not going too crazy, taking care of your mental health, your emotional health, as well as everything that you do for your business and your students. One of my mentors says that the most important person in the world is you, because if you're not taken care of, you can't take care of anybody else. So take that for what it's worth.
I I totally agree with that one. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So, John, how are you doing, man? Speaking of taking care of ourselves.
Actually, I'm doing pretty good. Doing really well. We're very level-headed. Again, had you asked me this question, I guess 5, 6 years ago, it would have been a whole different ball game, right?
Sure.
But where we are today, not necessarily where we are today financially or where we are today in terms of the business, right? But in terms of the mindset, like we're up there. We think before we act. We're good. We're good. I'm not sure how else to explain it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, things could be better, but you know what? I feel about the same way. We was talking with Heidi last night, running some numbers and stuff, and you know, things could be better, but
Yeah,
we're also good in the fact that we're still on the path. I mean, maybe there's a fallen tree across the main path, and we have to take a little side jaunt, but we're still on the path. We're doing okay. We're not killing each other in the house yet, so it's all good in the hood.
it's all good. It's all good.
That's it. So, welcome everybody again. Good morning, Bill. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about this idea of being stuck. There's a lot of outside things that go on around us that contribute to this feeling of stuckness. I mean, quarantine being one of them. Like, how many of you are pulling your hair out thinking, like, how am I going to do this? What's my next step? Moving to a new platform can be another. You're just not familiar enough to be creative, and you're like, oh my god, I'm going to teach the same thing that I taught last week. What am I going to do? I'm out of ideas. you know but most of it, I think, has more to do with our own fears and inhibitions that are creating that feeling of stuckness.
Yep.
You look like you had an idea to come out there.
Who, me?
Yeah, you look like you were going to say
I
something.
mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. At first week of doing Zoom classes, I was like, oh, this is not gonna be pretty because I like I like to get creative on the spot. I like to go in the studio on Monday and kind of like plan out the week, what I want to do. I want to use the bag on this night. I want to do this on that night, And now we're limited to bags, pads. We don't have all that stuff, right? But like, looking at the Skillz planners and looking at what Skillz provide us, I'm like, holy schmoly! Like I came up with a whole other set of skills for the adults because I mean, again, we can use some of the skills that we have for the children, right? But I've been coming up with skills for the adults every single week. I'm having a different theme now. What I mean? I'm having a different concept that we're working on. That way they're not getting bored. And they don't feel like they have to go into class and constantly doing the same horse stances and the same punches. And like this week they're dying. I don't know what it is, but this week they're dying. So it's the planners are pretty amazing, and I'm getting people messaging. Could you send me that planner? I'd like to do it as soon as I get up in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys never messaged me like that before. So yeah, like getting creative up here is absolutely good.
So you mentioned, and it's one of the challenges that many of us are having. People just don't have bags. They just don't have the equipment we had in the gym. Now, I see a lot of schools are doing an equipment loan program. Cool. I like that idea. Just make sure you're disinfecting everything. Um, so basically what we're saying is there's a need there.
Mhm.
If this is going to go long term, and before the broadcast, John and I were talking, I expect this to be another 3 months at least, for me in New York. So if that's the case and kids need certain things to be able to train, there's a potential revenue stream for me, right? The at-home training kit. Maybe it's part of what your trial is, or it's something that you are offering to your members to keep them in your good graces. Where hey, you're still paying me $170 a month, and I understand that we're charging everybody else $97 a month. So in goodwill, here is this package at cost, and it's just an idea. You can work it however you want, or not use it. But sometimes these challenges are actually the things that will stir our creativity to come up with things. Necessity is the mother of invention. So every time you come up against that challenge, you got to ask yourself, not just what do I do tactically right now? How do I modify a drill, or how do I, change out a drill for a different drill? But long term, how do I solve this problem?
Well, I think Bill just made a comment about solving that problem. He
Yeah,
said some are using Dad's belly for a punching bag. Okay, so like, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's the same thing here for us, right? So, I dug deep and I just sat there and I was like, what did I do when I was a child? The schools were the ones that were the only ones that were able to buy the pads, right?
mm-hmm.
Or, the pads were too expensive for just a regular student to buy, right? And I don't know if you did it or not, but we had the X-ray papers. We went to doctors' offices and we got the X-ray papers and we used them as kicking pads. And then one of my instructors had us do cardboard training, right? So for you guys, if you want to do this, we're doing a DIY challenge for our studio. And I don't know if you saw it circulated on our Facebook page or not. But I did a quick video how to get a cardboard, cut it out, draw the Skillz Ninja on there. Of course, we give them the templates to draw the ninjas on there and the Atlanta Skillz on it and everything. And they have to post it, okay? For each one of the pads that they create, the cardboard pads that they create, they'll get the name entered into a drawing, and the winner will get, an actual Skillz clapper.
That's
Okay.
pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's a DIY. It's a way to get the parents and the kids to do it together. And then, on top of that, we're also Clayton came in and offered something on top of that as well. So, it was like, hey, it's a win-win. Why not? So
here's a nice add-on to that is, I'm sure as you guys are doing your online classes, and I shared this on my personal profile today. So if we have some guests here and you're not martial artists, but maybe you're finding yourselves in that homeschooling environment, you're just a parent that feels stuck, use the ideas and take out when we say like punch and kick and put in math and reading. The concepts will work.
Yep.
One of the things that we notice in our Zoom classes is that the environment in which a child is practicing is directly correlated to their success during that class. If they are in a space where, like we have, I'm going to go to extremes. We have some families who I see them come on because we go live 5 minutes before class starts. I see their video pop up and the entire family is lifting up kitchen tables and moving chairs and pushing countertops out of the way so that the child has a completely, dedicated training space. Those kids tend to do really well. Now, there are other variables in there, such as the level of parental interaction and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then on the other end of the spectrum, you have kids who are in maybe their bedroom where all of their toys are, their stuffed animals. And, this is not a judgment call because not everybody has the space to move your kitchen into the dining room. I get it. But when those kids are surrounded by all those toys, it's really easy when they have to wait for a minute for them to go, oh, I forgot I had this toy. And next thing you know, they're like, as I play with the toys. So when you take something like, that build a target sort of idea and you say, hey, parents, because parent education is really important here. We need to give parents the tools to help their kids be successful. Hey, parents, when your child has a dedicated training space, I guarantee that they will do better and get more out of it. To help with this, we're going to show you how to make some pads, targets, whatever it is. And now what happens is the child has a prop. They've made it so it has value to them, and God forbid mom or dad throws it out. It's like when you get the macaroni necklace. I guarantee half of us still have it from when our kids were little. You have to carve out space for it. And by carving out space for this target, or maybe it's a life-size grappling dummy. I see a lot of the jiu-jitsu schools have really creative ways to make grappling dummies out of pool noodles and whatever, old shirts. The more you carve out space for that, the more you're starting to push away those distractions so that the 6 feet or so around the child mimics being in a school or a training environment. So it goes beyond just the item. You can leverage this a lot to really help the child succeed.
You know what else I realized that really helps them succeed? And I don't know if you guys have noticed it on my Facebook too or not, but I know a couple of clients that we coach is outdoor training.
Yeah.
Being outside, being in the grass. Yes, there's trees and stuff, but there is no distraction. There is no toys. There is no games. There is no, like you said, finding those little stuff that will, have that squirrel moment, and they've been loving it. And ever since I started it 3 weeks ago, I've got a couple of kids who are always outside right now.
And there's a lot of, if you look historically, a lot of the more creative, like I'm a Kung Fu guy, and I'll be the first one to say that half of the Kung Fu systems out there are strictly creative. They're not combat oriented.
Yep.
But they still have value. And as you look at them, many of them were created by people who were outdoors. You got all the animal styles. You have things that were inspired by wind or water or whatever. From just a human standpoint, being out in nature, it provides you the right type of stimulus. Now, there is some studies about things like increased oxygenation from being in the woods, or the different ions help you process neural. I don't know if they're completely true. I haven't done the research, but there's something to being outside where it's just being.
It's refreshing. Right now, we're in quarantine mode, right? Like we're stuck between four walls. For all you know, if you haven't looked out the window for a minute because your office is in the basement, it's dark day and night. Well, is it a day? So being able to go out there and train and have them train and just transition everything out there. I'll take my iPad, I'll take my laptop, and I'll take my phone, and I'm out there teaching a class. Actually, there is a small little table on top of a table right there behind me.
Yep.
Yeah. And I use that. And then I've got my grassy area right here on the side. And I can have them sprint. I can have them rotary jog. I can have them,
you throw down a couple of blankets and you've got an tumbling mat.
Exactly.
Being outside is great.
So, again, as instructors, don't get stuck. Don't feel like it's the only thing. And then it allowed me. So this week is fitness week. All right. So now I'm able to do what we call exercise burnout. Okay. Again, it's literally out of the Skillz planner. It's done for core skills. Okay. But I modified it to meet the adults. Okay. I modified it to meet the adult training, and they were dying. Like literally within 30 minutes of class, they were dying, but with a smile on their face. They weren't there like, oh my God, I'm ready to quit.
It's funny. We've had 2 or 3 of the moms in the early Skillz class. They're doing it just off camera, but every now and then we catch them. They're doing the workouts, right, with early Skillz.
Yeah.
And when we were doing our socially distant ninja visits the other day, one of the moms is like, this is the best workout I've ever had, because it's not things we do as adults.
Exactly.
Our bodies are not used to that, in the dirt, tumbling around kind of activity anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I like about getting outside is, aside from the whole quarantine thing, is the fact that we're coming out of winter. So a lot of people are affected by seasonal affective disorder and vitamin D deficiency. So by getting outside, you're helping that. The other part is we're spending probably 12 hours a day now looking at screens. And we've talked before about all the research about what happens neurologically and neurochemically with kids who watch screens. It's so detrimental to them. We don't have another option right now.
Yep.
But by taking them outside and helping normalize that light spectrum, and by providing them focus beyond just the screen, right? There's studies that show kids are having worse and worse eyesight because they're only focusing a few inches away. It really helps them developmentally beyond just, oh, hey, it's a new environment. There are really specific things we could point to that will really help. In addition, movement, and this is for us as well, not just for the students. Movement is so key to maintaining healthy neurotransmitters. We spend a lot of time sitting and a lot of time being stressed. That's a lot of cortisol in your system. Movement stimulates those endorphins, which helps regulate and balance everything. It feels good. It'll help you with your emotional balance. When you're outside, you have a little more freedom without bumping into mom's favorite vase or the china cabinet or kicking the dog. Being outside lets kids move. Now, if you are stuck, right, I also recommend that you get out and move. Get outside, take a walk, go do something, move. Gets the juice going.
Let me add to that as well. A lot of times we are stuck because, you mentioned being somewhat chemically imbalanced, right? Especially right now. But we're also chemically imbalanced because of the food that we're eating, right? So you guys know I'm big time on health and wellness, and the food that you eat does affect. And Jennifer wrote a blog on this not that long ago about the food that we're feeding our kids, the food that we're eating in the house right now because of the quarantine affects our behavior. You know what I mean? So let's face it. We used to leave the house at 9 o'clock in the morning, go home at, say, I don't know, 9 o'clock at night, right? The refrigerator is not there. The pantry is not there. All that stuff is not there, right?
Yeah, it was automatic discipline.
Exactly. And now we're in the house. Oh, are you bored or are you hungry? And a lot of times we will turn boredom into hunger. Like, we're not really hungry. We're just bored. So we want to snack on something, right? So before you know it, we're feeding ourselves with all this somewhat processed food, or, feeding ourselves with like unnutritional stuff. Or maybe you are feeding yourself with nutritional stuff, but it's too much for the body. Yeah, you're just eating too much. So, balance it out. Okay, balance it out with your meals, balance it out with your exercise, balancing out with being outside. Feel free that if you're sitting there working, especially if your office is in the basement. I keep on saying that because a lot of people told me, well, my office is in the basement. Dude, every 15 minutes, get up, walk around the house, get back into the office from the basement. If you want to stay away from the family, if you want to stay away from the kids and whatever, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but, go out there and like stand in the sun for 5 minutes, get that UV rays on you. So don't get stuck.
We're in, I don't know, week 77 or something. If you're putting on weight, it also affects your self-image.
Yeah.
And when you get down on yourself, you are less likely to have positive forward movement intellectually. You're going to spend more time feeling bad, which leads to more bad feeling chemicals, which leads to more feeling bad, which leads to stagnation, which eventually leads to, well, if I'm not doing good, why should I do anything? And it sounds extreme, but if you really track people's mindset through severe weight gain, that's what you see. Eventually, they just give up and say, well, I'm going to be fat anyway. I may as well eat 5 bags of Doritos. And that's how you get the people that are 800 pounds that, they sit there and they eat 24 hours a day. It's a lot of mindset.
Definitely. I think it's best if you block schedule. Again, Jennifer did a blog on that a while ago. Allowing yourself to scheduling yourself or putting a block schedule in place for you, your family, or for whatever you're doing is going to help you balance everything out, whether it's business, eating well, finding time to cook, stuff like that, because it's just going to help you in the long run.
So here's something to put on your block schedule. Put 1 hour a week. you can do 1 hour a day, great. But I know a lot of us are very busy and really using our time to the fullest. Dedicate 1 hour a week to thinking. Not like, oh, I had an idea, let me go act. You had an idea? Great. Write it down. Keep thinking. Because we want to get almost into that stream of consciousness. Like, now, like just before you fall asleep, you have that wonderful idea and you go, oh, tomorrow I'm going to change the world. And then you drift off to sleep and forget all about it. We want that same sort of mindset, even just once a week. Just spend some time thinking, just brainstorming, creating ideas and just jotting them down. Act on them later. But you just want to be able to build and mull things over a little bit. And then I guess the balance of that is don't get stuck just thinking. You'll get yourself into a corner really quickly. So every now and then I would also schedule some time to get out of your own space, your headspace and your space. And get into another space, talk to, John and I both have people that we talk to that are not in the martial arts industry.
Mm-hmm.
Schedule a chat with one of them just to chat. You never know what ideas will come up. Schedule time with, if you're more of a spiritual person, schedule time with somebody in your church or your congregation or your synagogue to talk about things other than your business. And very often, just like we may have parents here watching today that are not martial arts instructors, they may hear something that goes, oh, and even if it just makes you feel better, it doesn't even have to relate to business. Even if it just makes you feel good and energized. We all have those people in our lives that you talk to them and you come away feeling like, I'm going to go conquer this world and then go to the next one. You need that once a week. So set up something regularly scheduled with somebody or some space. It doesn't have to be a live person. Take a course on the Khan Academy, or MIT has their entire course catalog online for free.
I mean, you brought up a very good point, and I know we've talked about this. It's every coach needs a coach. You know what I mean? And a lot of times we feel like we're good, we're black belts, we can conquer this, we can beat this, we can do that, but we're still human. And then you just brought up the point of, talk to somebody else, right? Every reverend has another reverend that they talk to. Every CEO has a group of CEOs or a group of people that they talk to. You know what I mean? So that keeps the ideas fresh. That keeps the mind fresh. Like you're not stuck. And how many times, where you and I would be talking about something and then we present it to Melody and Melody would go, nope, it's not going to work. Or, whoa, that's a great idea. You know what I mean? Like, It just depends, right? So, find someone like that. I know the crew that we talk to on regular basis, weekly basis, as our Skillz coaching clients. I know they're successful. They're successful. You know what I mean? Like there isn't that moment of like, you know what I mean? Where there are others, they will send me text messages or messages and I'm going, okay, first of all, I want you to drop this. I want you to think about it this way. I have to get them out of that stuck or that, mindset of like that negative mindset.
As we're doing this too, I would encourage people to, I know we're talking about being stuck today, but sometimes stuck really is a legitimate, hey, I can't get past this challenge. Maybe you just don't have the knowledge base or the technology available to you. So as you're scheduling your time to speak with people, whether it's a coach or just a friend, or you're hiring somebody to teach you something, I'm taking nunchuck lessons. So something I always wanted to learn. It's literally beating the lessons into me. But, a lot of what happens in our industry, and it may happen in other industries, I don't know, is that whenever we have a question, we go to a colleague and say, how do I do this?
Yeah.
Just because that colleague is doing something does not mean they are an expert in it, right? So People keep coming to me and saying, "What's the best camera to use for my Zoom lessons?" Oh, I could tell you what I'm using, but for $100, you can hire a Zoom certified professional to sit with you for an hour who will totally craft what your business needs, how to do it, show you, walk you through, and set it up. $100. So why would you not take advantage of the Zoom professional who knows every aspect of that platform instead of going to, the guy down the road saying like, well, which camera did you end up buying based on reviews of people you don't know? And, we don't know. We're trying some of this stuff like you. So as you look at your challenges, find experts in that particular thing. Get out of our industry. Our industry is full of people that are easily impressed, who know one single thing, that are teaching it to you. Go find
I
specialists.
mean, you brought up a very good point. You brought up the point about Zoom, right? All of a sudden, right? Um, our world just turned, right? And we had to become Zoom experts. The difference between different people would be, oh, I figured out Zoom versus, man, I've got this platform that's gonna like make me money. Let me dig deep into it. I spent the first week understanding the ins and the outs of Zoom. Now, you and I have used Zoom before. You know what I mean? But did we use it to all its potential? Did we use it to with everything that Zoom does? And then, I was amazed last week when I sent out, I did a post and I was like, well, let me see what that post is going to do, right? And it was about Clayton Maxey coming in. And you and I have our monitors set up in the studio with our Market Muscle TV, where it would just, put up the events that's coming up for us or whatever. And I started using Zoom to do that. You know what I mean? And all I did is have an extra set of device, and I put up a virtual background.
So, you and I do have a little bit of an advantage in this. Coming out of
Engineering.
engineering background, when you start talking about, well, you need to process the video at a different codex, we kind of get that.
Yeah.
So we're not coming in fresh as to what the tech is. We're just looking how to best apply it. But even with that, like John and I both have pretty good setups going. I have external speakers and, John's got multiple camera angles and all this good stuff. We're still only power users.
Yep.
We are not Zoom professional. Like
we're not.
Zoom at the level that most of us are using it is really like
very basic.
Yeah. If you look at what Zoom is designed for on the high end, you can go out and spend $20,000 on a plug and play Zoom install that has high definition surround sound with cameras that automatically track your movements, that are high def cameras that use higher levels of processing to transmit uncompressed data. That may be where our industry goes. It's one of those things. Who knows? It may be. Yeah, I looked into it. The baseline camera is like $2,000.
Well, how many students would that be?
It also has a lot of capabilities for, they have what they call the Zoom room. Like we call everything a Zoom room, but a Zoom room is a physical room built around Zoom technology where you can integrate smart boards and you can integrate microphones around the room. So, and speakers around the room. So as John speaks to me, it comes out of that speaker. And as Melody speaks to me, it comes out of that speaker. So I almost feel like I'm surrounded by people. It's very high level stuff. So there is possibility to go there. And the only way you're going to find out is by asking Zoom. You're not going to find out by asking me. I just sales brochure.
No, but we can help you with the basic stuff, like the stuff. Like again, I got messages because a lot of people were like, "Oh, I didn't think about that. I didn't know that," and it was amazing helping them out. And afterwards, oh my God, thank you so much for this. It helped us out. Stuff like that. So again, dig deep when you're stuck. You know what I mean? Don't just go, oh, that's it. I'm stuck. I don't know what else to do. Just dig a little deeper in what you want to accomplish out of why you're stuck.
Yeah. whether it's Zoom or it's creating new classes or it's creating new content or it's just finding new ways to interact with your students, you know, there's two things that you have to kind of realize here. One is that you look at it like an empty bucket. I got to somehow fill this bucket. Why can't I fill this bucket? I got this quote from John C. Maxwell, and I don't know if it's his quote or if he was, repurposing it. But he says the water doesn't flow until you turn on the faucet. So you can sit there and stare at that bucket all day and fixate on why it's not full. Or you can just start with something. It doesn't even matter what. You may turn on the faucet and get brown water that comes out. It's garbage water. You have to throw it away. But eventually that water clears up and starts flowing at a higher rate, and you realize it's safe to open the faucet a little more. And before you know it, you need another bucket because you've created so much. I do this when I write my blog posts. There's days when I sit down and I go, I just don't even know what to write. So I'll sit and I will go through my various resources and I'll pull out 12 blog topics. I don't even know if I'll write about 12, but it's just the process of writing down 12 topics. They all go into my drafts folder. And then one of them goes, all right, I got an idea for a first sentence. You type it down and you go, all right, let me clarify that. And you type it down. And the next thing you know, you got a 10,000 word essay, and then you got to start paring it down because it's too long. You got to open that faucet first. The second part is you have to start changing statements to questions. You can't teach good martial arts via Zoom. You just can't. Okay. So you just cut it completely. If I change that to a question, how do I teach effective martial arts using Zoom? The answer still may be that you can. However, you've opened possibility. And now once questions beg answers. As soon as you ask a question, there's always somebody that wants to give an answer, even if it's the wrong answer. Somebody wants to provide an answer. And you want to do that internally for yourself. Right now, times are tough and people are dropping off, and I've got 70% of my people dropped off. There's no way I can afford this new program that's really going to revolutionize my school and save my business and change my life. Or how do I afford this new program that's going to totally change my business, revolutionize my school, and change my life? By changing it to a question, you put yourself in a creative mode, and it just will naturally cause you to find those answers.
And then when you come to that point of saying, well, I don't know if I can afford this new program because I'm not making that much money or whatever, why don't you go and ask someone else? Hey, Michael, this is what I want to do. This is how much money I make. What do you think we can do? You know what I mean? But, everything's a numbers game. You're making this much money, but where is this much money going? Right? And it's a numbers game. Like, you will find ways to invest that money properly. Again, I am out here still using Chris Rodriguez to do our advertising for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? She's still running our social media stuff. We're still, it could have been one of those situations where I could have went, you know what, let me stop that. That will save me a little over 1,000. You know what I mean? But again, you know what I mean? At the end, okay, if I stop advertising right now, I'm going to vanish off of my areas, I guess, pop up or, being on social media, being there where everybody goes, oh, they still do exist. You know what I mean? I'm going to be honest with you. It used to be where I go on Facebook and I will see 3-4 martial arts schools popping up in the area who are advertising. Right now, it's me and one other studio. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It is me, one other studio here in the area, but I'm also seeing 4 or 5 other studios that's in Texas, that's in Ohio. Like, people are advertising all over the US right now. And I don't know if they're doing it on purpose or not. But I'm seeing a lot of people that are in different states that's popping up on my Facebook feed. And I don't even like their pages. Like, I don't follow their pages.
It's like panning for gold. If you're a gold nugget, if your school is the gold nugget and it's sitting in a river somewhere, people are going to chance by and see it and collect you, join your school, right? But when you go panning for gold and you have to put it in the thing and you got to shake it all up. And before you can see the gold, first, all that other stuff clouds the water. It's only after the clouding happens and you can push it off that you can see that there's even more gold than you thought. So if you stop your advertising right now, you're just sitting in the cloudy water as the entire market shifts and everybody is just vomiting advertising out there as fast and hard as they can, even without purpose. You're going to get lost in the mix. You have to do something to get your gold noticed. And that's how do I pour off the rest of it so that everybody can look at me? And it's either by being really creative with some really guerrilla marketing tactics, or by really targeting and increasing your ad spend. I mean, we don't like to talk about spending money, but money out equals money in if you do it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Tim says same thing. He's seeing school ads for online virtual training. Look, I'm getting people. I'm not even advertising outside of a 15-mile radius. I have a student from Michigan. I have a student from Staten Island, which is a ways an hour or so away from me. I just got my first trial for somebody in Canada, and I'm doing my best to tactfully dissuade them because that's not my vision for what I want to do, or to redirect them to other Skillz schools. But I have these students, they're finding us. And part of it is because of, I think, I don't have data on this, but I think it's because, the power of everything we've been doing using Skillz models to advertise. Now, when people are going on to Google, I've got a really strong site with my market muscle site backed by the Skillz content. I show up really strongly. So I think when people are just searching for like online martial arts classes, it's almost that I did too well.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We'll roll with that. The other thing, as you guys try stuff, whether it's marketing or, sometimes what happens is you get stuck because of a self-limiting belief. You assess before you've ever tested. And I bring this up now because this is a lot of times what happens with marketing, or we just talked about adding a new program. This is the other time we hear it a lot. That won't work in my town. I tried that once. It didn't work. One person told me they didn't like it, so that means that nobody likes it. What's happening here is we're assessing on a single data point, also known as our opinion. You're going to have to try things, and be creative about how you try things. Like somebody asked me yesterday, well, what are you charging for online classes? Like 5 different price points. Why? Because I'm trying things. And I'll be honest, my highest price point has been a really hard sell. Really, really hard. I haven't gotten anybody to take it yet. My low price point has been too easy of a sell, and the wrong people are taking it. The middle price point that we're bringing in on this Friday, because I like to only test 2 at a time, will probably be the sweet spot. And then my goal becomes between 97 and 167. What are the value adds that I can get so that people choose the 167? I didn't just say, first sale, nobody took 167. I suck. I got to close my school. I said, well, let me try something else. And now I'll have data points. What are my actual rates of sale? What are my actual rates of conversion? What do the people, what do their attendance records look like at $57 versus $97 versus $167? What's the parent interaction for a $57 student versus a $90? There's a lot of variables there. So for me to just say the first person didn't take it, it doesn't work, I assessed before I tested. You gotta be testing. Don't be afraid to change your offer. Run 5 offers at the same time. Just make sure it's like only one variable that's different so you can see what the actual variable is. Go take a quick course on YouTube. It'll take you 4 minutes. to learn about split testing. And this is how you leverage other people's creativity. You just put things out there like, I don't know, can I sell these nunchucks for $150 because they were used by the one and only me? Put it out there. Nobody buys it. I got to change my ad, or I got to talk to different people. Somebody might be impressed enough with me.
Hey, etch your name on it and the school logo on it.
I mean, it's got some of my DNA from hitting my.
It's it'll be worthwhile.
There you go. But the point is, when you're stuck, very often it's a self-limiting belief. And the way around that is to really just start putting stuff out there, get it out there, provide amazing value just to get data. Even if you have to pump out, I'm not a fan of free. For the past, so we're 45 days into quarantine. So that's what, 8 weeks, something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. For the past 8 weeks, I hate free trials. Hate them. I'm not saying don't do them. I hate them. Guess what my offer has been for the past 8 weeks? Free trial, because I needed data. So I needed to pump a lot of people through. Starting on Friday, that changes, and we have a different offer we'll be going in with and testing. I don't know if it'll work. We'll find out, though. I'll let other people tell me. Let them be creative. Let's see. Oh, I got one more note here, and I've heard this a lot. But that's a lot of work.
No comment.
That's a lot of work. All right. So I think most of you know who Gary Vee is. Gary Vee, every single idea he has, you can go to his Instagram, his Snapchat, his TikTok, his Twitter, his Facebook page. You could walk up to him in the street and say, hey, Gary Vee, I love you, man. So he will tell you step by step everything he did to go from being the son of a wine salesman to one of the top influencers in the world. And he will give that to you. He will say, step 1, do this. This is how you're going to beat me. Here you go. He'll do it for free. Why? Because he knows that 99% of you
will not do it.
You are not going to do it. So yeah, it's hard work. Guess what? You're in business. You're the business owner. You are the leader. You got to do the hard work. The first 4 weeks, I'll say it was hell. I don't think I slept more than like 4 hours a night for the first month.
Yeah.
It was hard work. But you know what? I mean, I'm not doing the business I was, but I'm living a pretty easy lifestyle right now because I put all those things in place. So Tim said, what was my free trial? Let me just get that real quick. Tim, I had several of them running. I had a 2-week, I had a 1 month, I had a 6-week. The 2-week actually did the best for us out of all of those. And the way I set it up was you signed up online, it was 2 weeks. And then if you didn't actively cancel, it automatically rolled into billing. And that was at the $57 price point. So I'll be testing all those variables again at the 97 and at the 167 price points to see, what combination of things works.
Before this, a lot of us were like, oh my gosh, it's been a long week already and it's Wednesday, right? I'm going to be honest with you. Those past few weeks since quarantine, I'm going to put it exact date, since March 17th. I feel like the time just zapped by. I feel like the time just went literally like this. I have no idea how we survived, us, me, our studio, Jennifer, our family, in the past 4 or 5 weeks. Simply because we feel like we're working more now than we did before. You know what I mean? And we're doing a lot more now than we did before. It's not like we weren't working before, but it was a different kind of work. You know what I mean? Right now, it's totally a whole different type of work that we're doing right now. And, we wake up in the morning and 5:45, 6 o'clock, ready to go. Between the coaching, managing the business, doing this, doing that, for me, by 4 o'clock, I have to take that 20, 30-minute window of me sitting on the deck or being outside by myself or something, or just trying to chill to get ready to teach the classes in the evening. You know what I mean? But for us, the time has just flown by since this whole thing started,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. I mean, in the first week or two, or even the first 4 weeks for us was they're all kind of blurred together. I think that was an effect of the lack of sleep. But
Yeah.
now it's like we're just moving. So one of the other things we talked about this, I think I might be wrong, but I think we talked about this idea at the Skillz headquarters workshop, was leveraging the creativity of your team. Very often our ego gets in the way and we find ourselves in that, well, I'm the leader, I got to come up with all the ideas and I'm the one that has to provide the direction and I'm stuck. So, you guys are just going to have to wait for a moment. We have to keep in mind that the future belongs to those who come after us. So we have to give them an opportunity to have a hand in crafting it. And, this is a really good time for that because the future is so weird. We don't know. So we talked about the concept of a no-no meeting. And, this is something that I do in my school. And the original thought came from Mark Cole, who is one of the presidents under John C. Maxwell of his corporations. And the idea is that, you only have so much headspace and you built your team for a reason with those certain people. So what you do is you sit down, and I think he does it once a month. I might be wrong on that, but we do it whenever we need a little creativity and infusion. So the idea is we sit down with our team and we come up with a WIG, a wildly important goal. So if you've read the 4DX, the 4 Disciplines of Execution book, that's one of the things they talk about. You got to have a wildly important goal that you're going to focus most of your attention on. So we'll sit down and we'll say, hey, team, we need to find a way to get better ice cream for the students on Friday ice cream day. It doesn't matter what it is. No matter what they come up with, you are not allowed to say no. They might come up with, well, first we have to build a rocket ship because the best ice cream comes from the ice moons of Jupiter. And you can't say that's a stupid idea. You have to say yes. And you write it up on the board. And you do that for the first half of the meeting, just writing all of the ideas. Then what you do, and you can do this via Zoom, guys. There's whiteboard activity on Zoom that you can use. Then with the team, you kind of categorize what are things we can do for immediate action that are low barrier, that have a lot of value. And it's probably going to be about the top best 10% of the ideas. That going to Mars idea is a really fantastic idea, and I could charge $1 million for an ice cream cone, but there's some barriers. So we don't say no to it, but we do say yes to the top 10% best ideas. And then we repeat the process with, how do I make these ideas work? And we don't say no. So if one of those ideas was, well, we go to Carvel instead of Baskin Robbins because, Carol Baskin owns Baskin Robbins, her husband's in the ice cream, it's no good. We're going to go to Carvel. Okay, so how do we do Carvel? Because it's on the other side of town. Now you let them brainstorm that. We didn't say no. And then eventually you'll come to some happy path from what, we reverse engineered it. What's your WIG? What are some ideas? Here's the best idea. How are we going to make it work? And then you turn around and you execute.
Work it back up.
Yep, then you execute. And the nice part about it is, first of all, it's fun because you give permission to have those wild ideas. We need to go to Venus, to the moons of Venus, and set up a harvesting thing to get the best ice. All right, that's not practical. But is there something to that? Is ice cream made with different levels of ice? I don't know. Let's look into that. And you can take it from there. By leveraging that freedom with your entire team, this is what's truly called a mastermind. In our industry, we think of a mastermind as one guy up at the top telling everybody what to do, and we pay them a lot of money for it. But in the truest sense, a mastermind is one or one organization providing guidance, but using the mastermind of everybody there to come up with much higher ideas than any one person could. So that's what you're doing with your team in the no meeting. So try it. If you're stuck, get your team on a Zoom call. Tell them, look, we need to make $1,000 this week. Everybody come up with your wildest, craziest idea. You may find yourself running through town, with N95 masks on all the vital areas of your body and nothing else, just to generate some activity. But if it works, hold on, I got to go get some N95 masks. 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, we used to talk about guerrilla marketing. Those crazy things that were so outside of the box that it just made people look. The plumber who got on the side of his van a body sitting on a toilet, so that as he's driving, it looks like he's sitting on a toilet. There was a martial arts act. They found a crack in the sidewalk and put up a poster of the sensei punching the sidewalk. These things that really catch people's eyes. We're in an era right now where you have to bring that back and then extend it also to your customer service. How are you keeping people? Don't get stuck in the mindset that I've got them, they're mine. It's even more important to have guerrilla customer service right now. What are you doing to really wow people that are 100 miles away from you? So that was my rant for the day. Wow.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. That's it. If I had a microphone, I'd drop it. So, we're coming up on the end here. Let's recap some of the ideas, because I think we brought up some good ones that work for us. They may not work for you, but so what do we have? Get outside. That was a really good one. Right now it's kind of cloudy and nasty out, but this weekend we've been taken to hiking every Sunday. I have 6,000 acres of nature preserve right in my backyard, so we go hiking every Sunday. Just get outside, nice. Teach outside, learn outside, get outside and do some stuff. Change statements to questions. What else do we have?
Proper nutrition, proper.
Yeah. Take care of you, physically, intellectually, emotionally, and socially.
Yeah.
Feed your body, not your emotions.
Yeah.
But also find healthier ways to feed your emotions. Join a 8 o'clock happy hour on Zoom. Take care of you. We had make sure you're speaking to coaches, mentors, accountability buddies, people outside of your industry, just to get you out of your own headspace.
Proper scheduling. I don't know if you said that or not.
Get your schedule together. Block scheduling. Man, that was a life changer for me. John has a really good presentation that he did at the headquarters show. Jennifer had some stuff about it. So if you've got questions, talk to John and Jennifer. They will help you set up block scheduling. In that block schedule, some time to think, schedule it. Some time to sit down and do whatever you need to do so you can turn on the faucet and get things going. And some time to not think. Some time to just be. My emotions love pizza. Me too, man. Me too. I mean, there's just so much right about pizza.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing, but I'm going to go,
Everything in moderation. How about that?
Well, but it also depends on the kind of pizza.
You don't know what kind of pizza I eat. As long as
NYC.
Yeah.
It's an NYC, that little hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
I'm a buffalo chicken and a white slice with pepperoni guy.
Okay.
Neither of which is probably good for me, but you know what? It's a treat. It's not a regular, everyday sort of thing. And leverage the benefit of those around you. Have a Have a group of people that you bounce stuff off of, whether it's your team, the antelopes in your school. Right about now, 8 weeks in, you should have a really clear picture of who the antelopes in your school are. They're the ones attending every class, paying full price, and asking what else they can do to help you. They're the ones offering to bring you toilet paper and food because they know that you live off of your business. Find ways to leverage their creativity as well. Let's see. Oh, we got some comments here. Tim likes garbage pizza, everything on it. All right, so we're going to focus on the vegetables. So basically, Tim likes vegetables, so that's healthy. Those green peppers and olives, right? All right, thank you for the positive message. It's inspiring to have. So you are quite welcome. Remember, like Gary Vee says, most people won't take any action on it. Make sure you are the one that, the repayment is go take action on some of these things so that you can be successful. There are new times, they require new ideas. Don't try to just cram old stuff into a new bag. Be creative. And if stuff doesn't work, so what? Try something else.
Yeah. And don't say I don't have enough time to get stuff done. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm really tired of that. But I'm doing this, and that. Well, just get up an hour earlier. You're not driving back and forth to the studio anymore. If you're not, that is, you know what I mean? You've got an extra hour a day. Like, when you really think about it, there is time to do it if you want to do it with proper scheduling.
And it may not be I didn't realize I sat on the toilet for an hour every day and I can use that time for something else. It may be something that you have to carve out that time.
Yeah.
And the nice part about all this, like, it took us 40 minutes to set up for the first week of Zoom classes every day. Mm-hmm. Now we got it down to about 3 minutes. So there are ways that you can become more efficient with all the new things that you're doing. It might be delegation, might be changing your process.
Now I've got it down where it pops up on my screen, any of my devices, that says Zoom meeting starts now. It's done. Like, it's like, like, again, how did you set it up?
Yep.
So set up your life the same way.
Was the tech, because we were traveling back and forth to the school.
Yep.
And now we changed around our tech setup, and all I do is I walk in and I plug in my power, turn on my microphones, and plug in my external display. Take 3 minutes just to test everything and make sure it's working.
Yep. Here is another thing for you guys in terms of Zoom. If your devices that you're using, a lot of the new laptops, a lot of the new PCs, they're Bluetooth capable. So if you don't have the mic, if you don't have the money to spend on all that extra stuff, connect your AirPods or connect your Bluetooth device to your laptop, and it will work just as good. Now, here's the thing, though. I'm going to be honest with you. If you have a $10 Bluetooth device from, I don't know, $10 from somewhere, Bluetooth device, it's probably not going to work as well. You know what I mean? If you have AirPods, Beats, something of higher quality, it will be amazing. You'll be surprised how well it works.
Yeah, and there's some, if you go on Amazon, there are some options in like the $30 range that are pretty good. Like, I prefer the over-the-ear kind. So there's some in the $30 range. So it's not breaking the bank, but it's going to be a huge step up from trying to talk to people on the speaker on your cell phone.
Yeah.
They'll be able to hear you better. You'll be able to hear them better. I went full bore and I got some nice professional wireless microphones, and we have an external speaker that we wired in and everything. But that's just the old telecom guy in me that wants to see what I'm capable of. You don't need all that stuff. All right, guys. So go do your schedule first, because everything else is going to fit into that. If you don't have your block schedule done, that's your first hour. Sit down and at least rough it out. Get yourself on task, put all those important things in there, and then see what's left. And that's where you do your fun stuff.
And if you're still stuck, you know how to reach us.
Yep.
We might be able to help you get unstuck. Is that a thing?
Sometimes it'll be some inspiration from the front to pull you along. Sometimes we'll get behind you and give you the kick to get you out of the mud. It works both ways. All right, everybody. Yep. So that's about our time today. Go get it. You can't be creative when you're stuck and you're still. Get moving, make something happen, and then springboard off of that. Keep pushing that flywheel.
Yep. All right, guys. Happy Wednesday.
All right, go get it.
Peace.